Helios lens is really one of the quintessential vintage lenses. I believe it was from the 70s, maybe even the 80s. And it's an M42 thread mount lens. And this works well on this camera. You've got a really nice swirly bokeh and just a lot of character that you don't really get with the modern lenses that are so clinically clean. And then here we also have a Nikkor, so that's a Nikon micro Nikkor. And so this is another lens that works great on your mirrorless cameras, or really on just about any mirrorless, and then you can use it on a few different SLRs. There's a lot to know when it comes to which brands or which mounts will mount onto the camera that you have. So if you just do a quick Google search with adapting lenses to, say, if you have Canon EOS, you have a certain set of lenses that'll adapt to those. If you have Nikon, you're pretty much out of luck. Nikon, you can really only adapt. I'm not sure if there are any. You can use an M42 to Nikon adapter, but it needs a corrective glass element. Most of these other adapters, if you're dealing with a mirrorless camera, like this is a Sony A7 II. So this, the adapter actually kind of works as a spacer and compensates to create the correct amount of space that normally you'd find where these lenses are from old film cameras. So you want to recreate the distance between the back of the lens and your film plane using this adapter. So the adapter does two things. Basically, it takes the back side of the lens and makes it so that it will attach to the back side of the lens. So that's one part of it. Your old lens will click in. And then it has, of course, in this case, the Sony E-mount on this side. So this will clip on here. So we'll take a little bit of a closer look at the adapters under the macro here. So here's an example. This is the micro Nikkor. It's a 55 millimeter f3.5. It used to be a copier lens, is what kind of what you'd call it. It would be great for documents, for photographing documents and getting really straight and really sharp close-up pictures. So the micro Nikkors are very popular for a number of reasons. You can get a lens like this probably for about $60 or $70 for the 3.5 version. And there are some versions that are a little bit more desirable and a little bit more expensive. And then the adapters. So this is a K&F concept adapter. We stock these at Kudo Camera Company on Amazon and on eBay. So that just clips on. You know, here's your native Nikon F mount, and then with the adapter, you put it on, give it a good click, and you're in action. So now this will mount onto the camera. So typically with these cameras, I never open them with the sensors facing up, but I'm just going to show you how it just kind of clips on. See, and you can take that off. I kind of, at least partially tip it down, and I'm just going to look for this red dot. Line that up, clip it in, and now we've got Nikon on a Sony E-mount. So this is a great way to have fun with the classic lenses. I personally do it because I think they're a ton of fun to shoot with these. Other people will do it because you can get some really fast glass. You can get, a 50 millimeter f1.4 or f1.2 and get some really cool looks at with really shallow depth of field. But for me, I think it's a combination. Some of the performance it's really cool. It's very unique. And then you get a lot of features that you really can't get with the newer modern lenses. I tend to stay away from autofocus anyways, so for me, I love looking through and just pulling the manual focus, setting the aperture. I usually like to shoot wide open for the most part, unless it's maybe a group portrait where I need a little bit more depth. And but there's a lot of reasons to like them. The other reason I like it personally is it's kind of a hobby collecting these lenses. So you've got lenses like Nikon, the Helios from Zenit. I use a ton of Canon FD. That's probably my favorite. So for a lot of pro shooters, they tend to stay away from some of the old glass unless it's sort of an art or a beauty shoot, and then you might go for it. But in general, I feel that it's really the hobbyists, the people who do it as art or as a passion, that really get into these older lenses. So there are a few exceptions to that rule, but it's definitely by design. So you're not going to use an old manual focus lens to shoot sports photography. You probably won't use it for serious wildlife photography where you have to, have a really long range and you have to shoot fast. You've got to have that autofocus really dialed in. I've gotten plenty of cool nature shots with some of these older lenses, but in general, I love them for portraits and street photography. So those are my number one and number two reasons basically to use these when you're going out and you want to have a shot that looks really different, that you can tell you kind of understand how the way that the lens works, and you get a lot of artistic characteristics in the glass that you don't see with the modern lenses. So there's a lot of cool lenses. Please check them out in my store. I've got quite a few categories, anything from Minolta, Konica AR, Canon FD, Nikon F-mount, and M42. So this is one of the most common. I can just show you this one quickly. So with the M42 mount, this one is easier than the Nikon to really put on. So that's just a nice, easy to use thread mount. And then you've got threads on the adapter, and that'll basically go right on, no problem. Dials in, and now I'm all locked in. And over here, once I start to control the aperture, you can see that aperture opens and closes. So that's going to open and close, giving you full control over the aperture. Let's see if we can get some more light in there. You can see that better now. Most of my shots, I love shooting wide open just to get the crazy bokeh and the shallow depth of field. But one of the things about using a manual focus lens that I like is you really know what shot you're going to get. With the autofocus, I find sometimes if say you're at a family event and you're using autofocus, especially if you don't have really a top of the line autofocus lens, you might be kind of searching for that focus. So this is a good way to kind of avoid that. So. Well, thanks for tuning in, and look forward to talking to you soon. As always, please check out Kudo Camera Company. You can find us on eBay, on Amazon, or on our website, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. Take care.